Hell or High Water is a 2016 Western action thriller drama, and I usually don't like Westerns, but we'll get there. This stars Chris Pine and Jeff Bridges, as well as Ben Foster. Ben Foster and Chris Pine play two brothers, and Jeff Bridges, as well as Gil Birmingham, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, play two sheriffs. And essentially, this is like a kind of cat and mouse, but more of a chase movie ish, where the brothers are bouncing like from bank to bank and state to state with a bunch of money, and then the sheriffs are kind of after them to get it back and bust their asses. And they're doing it to basically pay for some land that is being foreclosed by the bank if some debts don't get paid in time. And they basically were they grew up in poverty. They never had too much money. There's something going on with like an oil rig that one of the brothers owns that he's going to be landing onto money at some point. But as for now, they're basically doing a bunch of bank heists in order to pay off this debt, in order to keep their land after their mother has passed away from a long-term illness. And they have a certain amount of time to pay this off, or they lose the entire property. And they're trying their best not for that not to happen, kind of thing. It's an interesting film. Like I said, I don't like westerns, and this is not really a western. It's definitely more on like the thriller action drama side. It's just kind of takes place in the country. Jeff Bridges plays a cowboy, as he does in a lot of films, and he's like the cowboy small town sheriff kind of thing. And the whole vibe is very desert-like. I think this is Texas. I should know exactly what state this is, but pretty sure it's Texas if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's country-esque kind of, or western-esque kind of thing. But it's a very great film. I bounced back and forth with this one. I avoided it for the longest time just because of its themes and the kind of movie it was, and didn't seem up my alley. But so many people talked about it, and this film got praised and talked about by critics and by, with awards and with festivals and all kinds of shit. Like certified fresh. It's like 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a very well done film, and it probably deserves all of its credit for sure. I don't think it's overrated necessarily. Maybe it is for me personally, but every watch, like, sometimes I love it and sometimes I just think it's okay. This time around, it was fine. I'll put it in the fine category. It's definitely like an easy 4-star film for sure. Because of like the cinematography and just the way it's shot and everything. But the acting is fantastic as well. And it's a small story, but it's stretched out to 2 hours, and it doesn't drag at all. That's what's interesting about this film too. There's not a lot that goes on. Like, the brothers rob like 3 banks, I think, and the rest is just the sheriffs chasing them down. It's paced in a way where it stretches out kind of the story, but it does it well, in my opinion. It starts off with a bank robbery, and it's kind of hilarious because the bank is just opening up. This woman is getting ready to start her shift, and they go in there, and they're hiding in there, but they're acting like a bunch of idiots and literally acting like morons. And the woman like calls them out on it and everything. And even the guy's like, "Yo, call me stupid one more time." She's like, "You're all a bunch of stupid bank robbers," and she's chirping them out. And then another guy who works at the bank comes in, and she's on her knees, and he's like, "What's going on?" And then he notices that the robbers are in there. And there's a lot of racist talk in this movie every once in a while. The guy is looking at the robbers and hearing their voices, and he's like, "Jesus, you're not even Mexicans." I'm like, do Mexicans commonly rob banks? Like, I don't think I've ever seen a bank robber in a movie be Mexican. That's really weird. So that quote was totally random, but really funny, and coming out of nowhere kind of thing. They ask him to put the gun on the counter. The robbers ask the guy to put the gun on the counter, which he does. And then as soon as they turn around, like, literally the gun's right there, so he grabs it and he shoots them out of the building. It's really, really good. And then they go on to their next bank. What's her name? Amber Midthunder shows up in this film, who recently did Prey, and I didn't know until this viewing, because I didn't really know who she was the last times I watched this film. But she shows up briefly in here playing bank teller. So she's in here for like 2 minutes. It's cool to see her. She's I think she's like 18 in this movie. So at one point the robbers get to this diner, and the waitress who's serving on them is being extremely forward with the one played by Chris Pine. Toby is his name, and she's she's like just sitting down, taking a seat, like asking him a bunch of questions, like leading into wanting to go out with him kind of thing. And his brother Tanner, played by Ben Foster, asks to use the washroom, and he goes off to use the washroom, but in reality he actually goes to rob another bank by himself without even letting Chris Pine's character Toby know at all. So he just does his solo operation in this bank, and then Chris Pine is like going to his car and has no idea what's going on, and then he just sees Tanner robbing or running out of the bank. He's like, "Get in the car, let's get the fuck out of here!" And he's like, "Whoa, since when did you make this decision?" kind of thing. And it's shot really well because a lot of scenes in this movie are shot in kind of one take, so there are cuts a lot throughout the film, but a lot of the scenes are really well angled and really well shot. And then there's the casino scene, because they decide to take all the money that they robbed and go launder it basically in the casino and write out a check so it's untraceable, which is actually a very wise idea. I've never really looked into how common, crime takes place in casinos or anything, but I can only imagine that it does left, right, and center. But yeah, they use the casino there. Toby runs into this woman who just comes up to him and starts hitting on him again. I think she's like a prostitute, or an escort, but it's not really established. The brother Tanner just comes along and starts bitching her out and like telling her to go find another customer or something like that. Kind of hardcore cock blocking Toby. But then they start fucking these other girls later on in the same motel or casino or whatever they are, wherever they are. One scene that I found hilarious, I have to talk about, is when they're at a gas station and Tanner is just like relaxing in the driver's seat, and Toby is inside the corner store buying some stuff, and this car rolls up, this like sports looking, not sports car, but souped up kind of muscle car, I should say, and it's blasting metal. And this douchebag looking guy with like stereotypical bro kind of guy with sunglasses and everything just looks at Tanner. He's like, "What are you looking at, bitch?" and just starts doing the whole tough guy thing. And he's like, or Tanner's like, "Buddy, you'd think there was 10 of me. Take it easy." And he's like, "Say that again, bitch." He comes out of the car, and this is one take again, and Chris Pine at this point comes out of the corner store and notices all this going on, so he sneaks off camera, and then he comes back in camera as soon as the guy steps out of his car, and he just grabs the guy's head and like slams it on the door and like kicks him on the balls and just totally wrecks the guy. And the guy had a gun in his hand too, the guy that came out of the car, and Chris Pine just eliminates him easily, and it was just the best like choreographed fights. It wasn't even a fight. He just literally takes the guy down in 2 seconds. I loved that because that's what you get when you run your mouth, you know? And I wish that both brothers would start kicking the shit out of the guy too. And even the guy had a passenger too, and Chris Pine goes around the car. I say Chris Pine, but Toby. Chris Pine because that's the first name that comes up. Goes around to the passenger, to the guy sitting beside that guy that was running his mouth. He's like, he had it coming, don't hurt me. So that might be my favorite scene in the film. It's not even significant, it's not even relating to the movie, but just how that whole shit was handled was great. And I really like the character design in this movie. Like Jeff Bridges' character, Russell is his name, he's a very determined guy, and he's very like morally into being a sheriff. He's about justice. He's about doing the right thing, and he really is determined to like get these guys down. And then when they rob their final bank, things go wrong, and it ends up it's kind of cool because it ends up being a chase scene where the entire small town that this bank is located in chase the robbers down. So they kind of like hold their fort and hold their own really well. It was really interesting. Like no cops had to do much. It was just like the town coming together and chasing these assholes out of the bank and out of the town kind of thing. And they chase them down the road, and it turns into a shootout where Ben Foster's character Tanner has this like assault rifle and just start walking down the road, just blasting them down. Really cool stuff. And cool how like everybody who was being held hostage in the bank, some of them had weapons because America, you can you can carry a concealed weapon anywhere you want. So they can defend themselves, kind of thing. I really liked seeing that. I'm Canadian, by the way. Um, I'm Canadian. We don't have concealed weapons here. So then the two brothers go their separate ways, and Tanner is being chased down by the cops still, but Chris Pine's character, Toby, ends up getting away very luckily with the check, and he goes through like a police check, and he's not questioned at all. Like he's questioned for like 2 minutes, but they let him go, so he's able to get the money and pay off the debt and keep his land and everything, and his brothers. But Tanner unfortunately ends up in a sniper situation, and he's trying to hide in the mountains, trying to get the cops, and the cops are trying to get him, and they start shooting back and forth. But then Hamilton, Jeff Bridges' character, takes a little pathway like around so he can get like on a spot where Tanner's not noticing him, and he gets him clear in the head and just takes Tanner down. And I really like the ending of this film. It keeps going for a bit, and Marcus, Jeff Bridges' character, shows up at Toby's ranch, and it's like the most tense, non-violent conversation ever. Like it's just words exchanged, but you can feel that tension, you can feel that anxiety, and you can feel that intense, like deadly, somebody's gonna die presence just with words spoken kind of thing. And even Marcus, he's like, you can shoot me right now, be well within your rights. And Toby's just like standing his ground and like having conversations, like, and then they get interrupted by the wife of Toby. So one of them is like, maybe we should just continue this conversation another time, and maybe I'll bring peace when we do. And then the other guy's like, maybe I'll give peace to you. And they leave with like that whole like elephant in the room bubble of tension. And I mean, it ends off the movie beautifully, and it's so well directed and acted and spoken and shot. Like it's just one of those movie magic moments that should be studied in cinema, because it's just so rounded and perfectly done the way it was, everything about it. So whether it was a happy accident, like friggin' Bob Ross would say, or they had to like do 150 takes to get it perfect, it was really well done. So Hell or High Water, like I said, is a light western, great action thriller drama with really, really, really great performances. And I don't know if anybody in this film won any awards or not, but they're certainly deserving of them. And fucking fantastic, man. It's a great cinematography filled tense crime thriller, really. I wouldn't call it cat and mouse though. I'd call it more of like a chase movie or like a crime movie kind of thing. But really masterful work in my opinion. So go check it out somewhere if you can find it streaming, especially or wherever you can, and give it a shot. It's just under 2 hours, so it doesn't go on forever. Like it's not like a 2.5, 3 hour film or anything like that. But it's a good one. I really strongly recommend, especially for a Western. Me not liking them usually, you can tell it's good. For me not liking Westerns, saying this one is really good, even though, like I said, it's a light one. It's good stuff. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I will be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.